Let's see. I'm Jerry Nichols.
I'm Mrs Easterling.
I was born at Booth Hospital in Covington, Kentucky in February 20th, 1950. And you're Lois Easterling.
And I was born in Madison County, Richmond, Kentucky at Patty A. Clay in 1928.
And I'm just sitting here, we're going to have a conversation.
Okay.
You've agreed to let me record this
Yes.
for posterity.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're going to talk about the Waco pottery and a little bit about Eb Stone, who you're related to, and you know some
Well,
about.
no, I'm not related to him.
Yes, yeah, you set me straight.
Yeah, that. He and my dad were partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way. But very good friends. Yeah, like family. So that, and of course, I played around there all at the we called it the shop.
Where'd you grow up?
Right there at the house next door to the pottery. And of course, my friends, there was 4 of us. There was 2 girls and 2 boys, and we played around there all the time, rode our tricycles. Because see, on the other side of the pottery, they made farm drain tile. And they had the long drying rooms where you dried the tile.
So they even, so in the, as early as you remember in the,
well, yeah. And so we rode our tricycles because these sheds where they dry, would dry the tile, that was good and cool in the summer.
Oh yeah, sure.
And,
sure, from the shade and the...
And the inside was packed down till it was just like rock.
Oh yeah, it was clay on the bottom. And
What? Yes.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
you
yes,
know,
there
right
he
there.
is. I thought I could hear him. If he finds a piece of paper, he likes to tear it.
Oh, well, I'll watch it.
Okay, you guard him. Guard dog. So we played. I said, it's a wonder they got any work done. And if anybody came to look at the pottery in the room where they, we called it the selling room. Why, we'd all go and stand and gawk around, and watch it. I guess they thought we were little fellers.
It was just a shed then?
No, it was an enclosed.
Because it used to be, the old pictures, when the bomb starts on it,
Yeah.
it was a log cabin.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Do you remember when it was?
No.
Okay, so it burnt down even by then?
Yeah, no, I never knew. The
Yeah.
inside where they worked in the winter and was enclosed, and they had a big, they kept a fire. And that was and it was a big old long, like a big round thing that was describing on what kind of a burner it was, but you would build a fire.
Stick a long log in from
right,
the side.
Right.
That's it.
And and then in the summer that room was cool too.
Is that kind of the same building? That's the same building that's there and still
Just
there?
barely.
Just barely. And there were stairs that went upstairs?
Yeah, and that was on down in the next room.
The stairs were? Okay.
Because the black man that lived there, that was in his bedroom, there was a turning wheel in his bedroom. And then you went in upstairs. And that's where the big roller things like barrels that mix the glaze.
Yeah, that's what the...
Those steel balls or something that
Yes.
got the color.
So they're still there. At the moment, they're still there.
Yeah.
And hope they haven't preserved or something happens to them before they,
Yeah.
before they get broken all up. And,
It's off this mess.
yeah, they're still there last year. We're going to try to get them out of there this year. So it was the other end that you came into that was the pottery.
Yeah, right.
Was that then they had, let's see, which is, you can't get to that end.
No.
So you walked into there's some stairs and you walked into and that's where they had pottery on display?
Yeah.
Then where did they, let's see, so then there was another little room. See, was there, what I've seen now is there's one big room where you go in, and there was another little room that's full of car parts, and then there was another room with the staircase in the back.
Yeah.
So 3 rooms?
Yeah. The 3 in where the clay and where they did all the work was together. There was kind of 3 things. One of them wasn't enclosed. It was where they ground the clay for the art pottery. And then a little separate selling room. And I think maybe at one time it had an upstairs, but I think they had taken it down. But it seems like in the selling room there used to be an upstairs. Then they had built another shed there that they stored extra stuff between, well, it was there in that bottom between where I lived and the pottery.
So if you go there right now, there's the inside you can't hardly get into, but then on the back there's a shed and it's got open on the end and it's got lots of old harnesses in it.
Yeah, okay,
And
that's
I think
probably.
there's a shed that's on the back of it that's
Yeah,
not
right.
open.
And all the glazing was done like, when you walked it, here was the selling room. And then the next part where the clay mill,
Mhm.
where the horse went around and around to grind the clay. That was open but covered.
Uh-huh.
And that's where they did all the glazing, though, was in that area.
Or the mule, or
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it was.
but now
was
it's not, that's not where they made the tile.
Yeah, yeah.
It's separate. And then from there, you went into where they made, where the turning wheels were.
Uh-huh.
And as well as I remember, Mr. Ebb, that was he had a wheel, and then Dean had one in the next little room where the black man, that was his bedroom, or where he slept and lived.
Uh-huh.
Dean's wheel was in there.
So then, okay, then you go into the room with, the little room with the staircase,
Yeah,
and
right,
that's where
right.
and the black man lived upstairs.
No, he just slept there with
Oh.
he slept in the same area as the turning wheel.
One day, let's see, so,
I mean, you know,
Okay,
no
yeah.
private, I mean,
yeah, sure. You slept there with
he just had a little place, I reckon, where he hung his clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
And would you believe my first gainful employment was shaving Speed's head for a quarter every 2
Oh,
weeks.
oh, that was his name, huh?
Speed, well, yeah, and it's Flooring Christmas. He was, you know, very calm, and the four of us, when we got kind of rowdy playing, he'd say, "Here, here." And when he said that, we
Well,
kind of
Calmed down.
Calmed down. Yeah, he wanted his hair shaved, and one day he said, "I'll give you a quarter if you'll shave my head."
oh, which was a lot of money for
Yeah, so I did. And then guess what I did with it?
Well, you bought some pottery from.
No, went to Woolworths, went to the
Oh,
10-cent
yeah.
store, as we called it, and bought me a little brass ring.
Oh,
I've still got one of them.
uh-huh,
I save string too.
uh-huh.
That's what my druggist told me one time. I had a little fountain pen, and well, pen and pencil set, but my mom never got me one Christmas when I was in 4th grade, I think. And it had the little rubber thing to fill it, you know, you'd squeeze it and it would
Yeah,
sink.
yeah.
I
yeah.
called it a
little
bladder.
ink pen, yeah.
So when I got to college, we got to talk about pens and pencils, and I liked pens and pencils. And somebody said, I said, "But mind that little bladder thing, it rotted." You know?
Yeah, that's what happened.
They said, "Oh," said, "you can send them off and have them fixed. Now you can redo them, you know." Oh, good. So I went to the drugstore, and I didn't know the fellow real good, but, you know, a little bit. Well, he took it, he rolled it, and he looked, and he rolled. Finally, he looked at me and he said, "I bet you save string." Because, see, it was not a name brand. It was Parker or Schaefer's.
Uh-huh.
If it was a brand name, you could
Scripto
do
or-
that. But
mhm.
see, this was just a little set, you know, that they'd given me one Christmas. So that was his joke after that. Every time I'd go into the drugstore, he'd say, "How big's that ball of string?"
Got to.
Yeah,
So Speed, so let's see.
yeah, we'll back to Speed.
Yeah, we'll go back to Elbridge.
Okay.
That was your,
Yeah,
let's see.
and I called him Mr. Ed,
Your father's name was what?
John M.
John M.
Cockrell.
John M. Cockrell.
C-O-C-K-R-E-L-L.
Mm-hmm. And your mother's name was put in
Ada.
her.
Yeah, Ada Smith Cockrell.
Uh-huh.
S-M-Y-T-H.
Mm-hmm.
Her family was from Bakerville,
Mm-hmm.
which at one time, part of it was Virginia.
Oh, yeah, it's been, yeah.
A few
Yeah,
years.
that's been a few years since it was.
My mom's dad was county clerk in Lee County at one time before they moved to Madison
Uh-huh.
County. So that's, let's see.
So let's see. So your father, John, he bought the pottery then.
No, actually his stepdaddy.
His stepdaddy.
That was G.W. Grinstead.
Okay. Did he inherit it from him, or he just?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually a step.
Then he bought it from Mr. Baumstar.
Yeah, the Grinstead did, G.W. Grinstead. Now Speedy tells me that anything made by J.E. Grinstead is really hard to find.
Uh-huh. JP is shown on the Beers map, which was
Yeah, that old.
1876. Yeah, the fire map. But yeah, JP, and actually JP owned it for a while too, from the deeds.
And then see, my step-grandfather bought the pottery though from the
Oh, I see.
Bumstars.
JP owned the Bybee Pottery for a
Was
while.
it the Bybee? Okay.
Yeah, and he lived right up there too.
Yeah.
That's what's shown on the Beers fire map.
Okay. Now was that spelled B-E-H-R-S, or how was that spelled, that Beers?
B-E-R-S.
Oh, B-E-R-S.
It was an insurance company. That insured, there's Beers maps all over the place. It was an big fire insurance. And I think out of New York. So Mr. Cockrell,
Yeah. Yeah, no.
your father
Yeah.
owned the pottery, and he hired Elbridge, Ed, which was known as Eb, and his wife was Grace. She was a Corneliuson.
Yeah, and we think, I don't know whether we made it up or what, but when the Graces, I guess would have been her daddy, died and they were settling up or something, they left her out.
An article from the paper at that time kind of says that. Yeah, she was left out.
So we figure that Ed had been working with the Corneliusons.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that happened, he packed his little duds, I guess, because all I knew as a child was that they just weren't too friendly. Between the two, the Waco Pottery and the Corneliusons Pottery. You know, it was common for them to leave all their stuff to their sons back then, which probably didn't go very well with the daughters. Right. And then, but I lost the train of thought there. It wasn't important, I guess. But now Walter Lee Nielsen, and we were in the same class all through school.
Well, so, Walter Lee is still alive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because his father was Walter Lee too.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
And but we were in first grade, started out first grade together, and then the teacher passed us to the third grade. We skipped second.
Oh, smart kids.
Yeah. So now, and really, he was younger than I because his birthday was in February, so he had actually started his school at 5 in first grade, and then he skipped that. So he was about a year and a half younger than I. And so, but I mean, I knew